Stop! Indiana hides a terrifying secret. Beneath its small towns and endless fields lie haunted places that defy logic. A hospital where the dead still scream, a bridge where ghostly figures appear at midnight, and a cursed house where no one lasts a single night. Have you heard of the lady in white at Whisper's estate? Or the cursed laughter in Hannah House? What about the phantom car that chases drivers off Blood Road? These stories aren't just legends. People have seen them. Some never return to tell the tale. Are you brave enough to uncover Indiana's darkest hauntings? Watch the full video, if you dare.
1. Villisca Axe Murder House. The house that remembers. In the quiet town of Villisca, Iowa, an unassuming white house stands as a silent witness to one of the most horrifying unsolved massacres in American history. On the night of June 10, 1912, an unseen horror descended upon the Moore family and their 2 young guests. As they slept, an intruder emerged from the attic, swinging an axe with merciless precision. When the sun rose, the house was painted in blood. The victims unrecognizable, their skulls shattered. The killer vanished without a trace. A traveling preacher, a vengeful neighbor, even the infamous Axeman of New Orleans, all were suspected. None were convicted. Some say the murderer never left. Step inside today, and the air itself seems to pulse with an unseen force. Disembodied voices whisper in the dead of night. Shadows shift in the corners of your vision. Laughter, childlike yet wrong, echoes in empty rooms. In 2014, a ghost hunter, overtaken by an unseen entity, stabbed himself in the chest, his own hands betraying him. Visitors leave with more than just memories. Some report terrifying nightmares. Others feel an invisible presence pressing down on their chest, as if something unseen is trying to climb inside. The house breathes. It watches. And it never forgets. Would you spend the night? 2. Edinburgh Manor, the asylum that never sleeps. Buried in the lonely fields of Monticello, Iowa, stands a decaying husk of brick and shadow. Edinburgh Manor, built in 1911 atop the ruins of a poor farm where the mentally ill, the forgotten, and the unwanted were cast away. This place was never meant for healing. It was a dumping ground for lost souls. Over 100 recorded deaths, many more uncounted. Some residents were buried in unmarked graves. Others, their spirits never left. The walls of Edinburgh have seen suffering beyond comprehension. Patients whispered of figures lurking in the halls, things that were not human. They screamed of hands clutching at them in the dark, of voices whispering their names. No one listened. And then there is the Joker. No one knows what it is. Only that it watches, that it waits. Those who enter feel unseen eyes burrowing into them. Doors slam shut with violent force. Shadows stretch unnaturally across the walls. Visitors wake with scratches on their skin. Marks from something that no longer has a body, but still has a will. And when the Joker sees you, it never forgets. Would you step inside knowing something is waiting in the dark? 3. Squirrel Cage, Jail, the prison that won't let go. In Council Bluffs, Iowa, a monstrous relic of human suffering still stands. Squirrel Cage Jail. Built in 1885, this bizarre rotating 3-story prison was meant to keep inmates in constant mechanical confinement. But it became something far worse, a human trap, a place where even the walls could kill. The cells spun unpredictably, crushing bones, trapping the desperate. Isolation drove prisoners to madness. Disease festered in the air. Some took their own lives, some were murdered. And then there was the jailer. His body discovered crumpled at the top of the stairs, his fall too perfect, too unnatural. But Squirrel Cage Jail never truly emptied. Phantom footsteps echo on the iron walkways long after the last inmate left. Disembodied voices call out from empty cells, shadows slither between the bars. Some visitors feel unseen hands tighten around their throats, whispers of prisoners who never escaped, who still serve a sentence beyond death. The locks are rusted, the doors are open, but once inside many feel a suffocating dread, like something does not want them to leave. Would you risk stepping inside? Because in Squirrel Cage Jail, the dead still count the days. 4. Independence State Mental Health Institute. Standing like a decaying monument to forgotten souls, Independence State Mental Health Institute in Iowa is a place of unspeakable torment. Built in 1873, this massive asylum was meant to treat the mentally ill, But for many, it became a prison of suffering. Lobotomies, electroshock therapy, and violent restraints were routine, turning the halls into chambers of horror. Thousands perished within its walls, their screams swallowed by the cold, endless corridors. Even in death, they never left. Visitors report hearing cries echoing from empty rooms, footsteps pacing where no one walks, and ghostly figures staring from the windows. Nurses and patients alike have been seen, some in hospital gowns, others with hollow, blackened eyes. The basement, where the most disturbed patients were once locked away, is said to hold something even darker, a sinister presence that growls from the shadows. Some who enter feel an overwhelming sense of despair, as if unseen hands are reaching from the past, pulling them into the madness. The asylum may be abandoned, but the spirits inside still remember. Would you dare walk the halls of a place where sanity was shattered, and where the dead refused to be forgotten? 5. Franklin Hotel, Strawberry Point. Nestled in the small town of Strawberry Point, Iowa, the Franklin Hotel may seem like a charming historic inn, but behind its elegant exterior lurks something far more sinister. Built in 1903, this hotel has welcomed travelers, railroad workers, and even gangsters, but some of its guests never left. For over a century, strange whispers have floated through the hallways at night. Unseen hands tug at clothing, doors slam shut on their own, and shadowy figures stand at the foot of beds, watching. One of the most notorious spirits is that of a woman in a flowing dress, seen wandering the second floor, her presence accompanied by a cold, suffocating chill. But she's not alone. Guests have heard a deep, guttural laugh echoing in the darkness, as if something far more malevolent lurks within. The basement, once used as a speakeasy during Prohibition, holds an energy so heavy that even the bravest investigators refuse to stay for long. Some who enter experience intense dizziness, nausea, or a feeling of being pushed back, as if whatever lingers below doesn't want them there. Would you spend a night at the Franklin Hotel, knowing the dead might be sleeping right beside you? 6. Cresco Theatre and Opera House, Cresco. For over a century, Cresco Theatre and Opera House has been a stage for laughter, music, and the restless dead. Built in 1915, this grand venue still echoes with phantom applause, disembodied whispers, and shadowy figures lurking in the balcony. Actors feel unseen eyes watching from the wings, footsteps sound on stage when no one is there, and the dressing rooms grow ice cold without warning. Some claim a ghostly figure sits in the same balcony seat every night, waiting for a show that never ends. Late at night, the lights flicker, the air thickens, and the theatre comes alive. But not with the living. Would you dare take the stage, knowing the audience might not be human? 7. Stony Hollow Road, Burlington. On the outskirts of Burlington, Iowa, Stony Hollow Road is more than just a lonely stretch of pavement. It's a place of tragedy, despair, and a spirit that still lingers in the night. Legend speaks of Lucinda, a heartbroken woman who threw herself from the cliffs after her lover abandoned her. But death didn't bring her peace. Travelers report seeing a ghostly woman standing by the roadside, her hollow eyes filled with sorrow. Some say if you speak her name 3 times, she will appear before you, her face twisted in agony. Those who have seen her claim that if she drops a rose at your feet, death will soon follow. Unseen hands have pounded on car windows, headlights flicker without reason, and a chilling presence lingers near the cliffs. Some drivers have even felt an overwhelming urge to veer off the road, as if something or someone is trying to pull them over the edge. Would you dare drive down Stony Hollow Road, knowing Lucinda might be waiting for you in the darkness? 8. Oakland Cemetery, Black Angel, Iowa City. In the heart of Iowa City, Oakland Cemetery holds a monument so terrifying it has become legend. The Black Angel, a towering bronze statue cloaked in darkness and mystery. Once gleaming gold, the angel inexplicably turned black over time, and with it came whispers of a deadly curse. Locals say anyone who touches the angel at midnight will die within 7 years. Those who dare to kiss it, their death comes even sooner. Visitors report eerie cold spots around the statue, strange lights flickering in the graveyard, and an overwhelming feeling of being watched. Some claim the angel's eyes glow at night, and others swear they've seen it move when no one is looking. Many believe the statue's sinister transformation is tied to the dark past of its owner, A grieving mother accused of unspeakable crimes. Whether myth or truth, one thing is certain. Those who disrespect the Black Angel often suffer terrible misfortune. Would you stand before it, knowing its cursed gaze might be the last thing you ever see? 9. Mars Hill Church, the haunted church in the woods. Hidden deep in the woods near Ottumwa, Iowa, Mars Hill Church stands as one of the most haunted churches in the Midwest. Built in the 1800s, this eerie wooden chapel and its adjoining graveyard have been the site of countless ghostly encounters, and something far darker. Visitors report hearing whispers in the empty pews, ghostly footsteps echoing through the church, and the overwhelming sensation of being watched. Some have seen shadowy figures moving between the gravestones, vanishing into thin air. But the most terrifying legend: a hooded figure seen lurking near the church at night. Those who get too close often feel a sudden, suffocating cold, as if something is standing right behind them. Some say the spirits of the buried refuse to leave. Others believe something evil was awakened in these woods long ago. One thing is certain: those who visit never forget what they feel here. Would you dare step inside this haunted church, knowing you may not be alone? 10. Farrar Elementary School, the lessons never end. In the small town of Farrar, Iowa, an abandoned schoolhouse stands frozen in time, but something inside refuses to move on. Built in 1921, Farrar Elementary School educated children for decades, but whispers of strange occurrences plagued it long before its doors closed. Now it's a playground for the paranormal. Visitors report hearing phantom laughter echoing through the empty hallways, classroom doors slamming shut on their own, and shadowy figures darting past the broken desks. Some have seen the ghostly image of a child standing at the top of the stairs, only to vanish when approached. The old principal's office is said to be the most active. Many claim to feel an unseen force pressing down on them, as if something powerful still rules these halls. At night, the air grows thick with an eerie silence, broken only by the sound of footsteps creeping behind you. Those who enter often leave shaken, as if something unseen is following them home. Would you walk these darkened hallways, knowing class is still in session? For the dead. 11. Maple Hill Mansion, the house that whispers in the dark. Deep in Jasper County, Maple Hill Mansion stands as a forgotten relic of wealth, power, and something far more sinister. Once a grand estate, the mansion has been abandoned for years, but those who dare step inside quickly realize it is not empty. Visitors report hearing whispers drifting through the halls, doors creaking open on their own, and shadowy figures watching from the windows. Some have even seen the ghostly apparition of a woman in white, her sorrowful presence lingering on the grand staircase. The basement, however, holds the darkest energy: cold spots, sudden nausea, and the overwhelming feeling of being watched. Some believe a terrible secret was buried there, and whatever lurks below does not want to be disturbed. At night, the mansion takes on a life of its own. Faint piano music plays from nowhere, disembodied footsteps echo through the halls, and those who stay too long report vivid nightmares, as if something from the house follows them into their dreams. Would you dare enter Maple Hill Mansion, knowing something inside is waiting, watching, and never alone? 12. Mason House Inn, where the dead still check in. Since 1846, Mason House Inn has welcomed travelers and trapped spirits. Once a Civil War hospital, its walls whisper with phantom footsteps, slamming doors, and unseen hands brushing against the living. In room 5, a murdered man's ghost lingers, his icy breath felt in the darkness. The basement morgue still echoes with whispers, and some guests wake to find a ghostly child staring at them. Stay the night if you dare, but the dead may be sleeping beside you. 13. Banwell Bridge, the bridge of no return. Locals call it Terror Bridge, and for good reason. Those who cross it at night rarely leave alone. Legends tell of a mother who threw her children over the edge before leaping to her own death. Now their cries echo in the darkness, and some claim to see tiny handprints appear on their car windows. Others report phantom trains thundering across tracks long abandoned, or the chilling shadow of a headless man wandering beneath the bridge. Cars stall, radios go silent, and an unbearable sense of dread creeps in, as if something unseen is watching, waiting. Would you dare step onto Terror Bridge, knowing something wants you to stay? 14. Rainbow Bridge, a walk into the unknown. At first glance, Rainbow Bridge, Lake City looks peaceful, but those who cross it at night tell a different story. Locals whisper of shadowy figures lurking in the mist, footsteps echoing with no one there, and an eerie presence that makes the air feel too heavy to breathe. Some say if you knock 3 times, you'll hear a ghostly knock in return. Others claim to see a woman in white standing on the bridge, only to vanish when approached. Cold spots, flickering lights, and the feeling of being followed make every step more terrifying. But the real question is, who, or what, is waiting on the other side? 15. Iowa State University, where the dead still roam. By day, Iowa State University buzzes with life, but after dark, something else awakens. Students report phantom footsteps echoing through empty halls, shadowy figures drifting in the dorms, and chilling whispers from unseen mouths. The most haunted spot? The farmhouse museum, where objects move on their own, doors slam without warning, and some claim to see the ghost of a woman in the windows, staring, waiting. Near the campus cemetery, eerie lights flicker, and an overwhelming sense of dread and unseen eyes follows those who dare to walk too close. Would you wander these halls at night, knowing you might not be alone? 16. Holy Cross Cemetery, the restless dead await. At Holy Cross Cemetery in Anamosa, the dead don't sleep, they watch. Visitors report ghostly figures drifting between headstones, whispers rising from the graves, and cold hands brushing against their skin. Some say a shadowy priest walks the grounds at night, his face hidden beneath a hood, while others claim to hear the chilling sobs of an unseen mourner. The most terrifying legend: those who stay too long sometimes feel something following them home, a presence that lingers in the dark, waiting, watching, never leaving. Would you dare step inside, knowing the dead may not let you go? 17. Ward Hall, the haunted heart of Mount Mercy University. At Mount Mercy University, one building holds a sinister secret: Ward Hall, where spirits still roam the halls. Students and staff report phantom footsteps echoing down empty corridors, doors locking on their own, and whispers from unseen mouths. The most famous spirit: a nun in a black habit, seen gliding through the halls before vanishing into thin air. Some say she was buried beneath the building, and her restless soul refuses to leave. Lights flicker, objects move, and an eerie presence lingers in the shadows. Those who dare walk alone at night often feel ice-cold fingers brush against their skin, as if something unseen is reaching out. Would you step inside, knowing the spirits of Ward Hall are waiting? 18. Oak Hill Cemetery, where the dead still speak. At Oak Hill Cemetery in Cedar Rapids, the spirits are anything but silent. Visitors report whispers drifting through the air, shadowy figures moving between the graves, and icy chills that creep down their spines. The most infamous ghost? Helen, a young girl buried beneath a statue known as the Black Angel. Some say her restless spirit wanders the cemetery at night, crying for her mother. Others claim the angel curses those who dare to touch it. Lights flicker, footsteps echo, and the overwhelming feeling of being watched follows those who linger too long. Would you walk these haunted grounds, knowing the dead may be walking beside you? 19. Parker's Grove, the forest that whispers. Deep in Parker's Grove, the trees don't just rustle with the wind, they whisper. Locals tell of shadowy figures darting between the trees, eerie voices calling from the darkness, and sudden bone-chilling cold. Some have seen glowing eyes staring from the underbrush, while others claim to feel invisible hands brushing against them. At night, the air grows thick with an unnatural silence. No animals, no wind, just waiting. Those who wander too deep often report the same terrifying sensation. Something is following them, unseen but impossibly close. Would you step into these haunted woods, knowing you may not walk out alone? 20. Wildwood Apartments, home to the unseen. At Wildwood Apartments in Cedar Rapids, some residents never moved out, even after death. Tenants report phantom knocks in the dead of night, whispers through the vents, and lights turning on by themselves. Some wake to find shadowy figures standing at the foot of their bed, vanishing the moment they scream. Others feel an icy presence watching them from dark corners, its unseen gaze heavy and unrelenting. Doors lock on their own, objects shift without reason, and the air carries a strange electric charge, as if something unseen is always there, just waiting. Would you dare sleep here, knowing you might not be the only one in your apartment? 21. Drake University Observatory. Where the stars aren't the only ones watching. High atop a hill in Des Moines, Drake University Observatory offers breathtaking views of the cosmos. But some say something unnatural watches back. Visitors report shadowy figures lurking in the dome, eerie whispers floating through the air, and a crushing sense of being watched. Some have seen a ghostly man in old-fashioned clothes staring through the telescope, only to vanish when approached. Others feel cold hands grip their shoulders, though no one is there. The observatory may study the stars, but at night it becomes a different kind of watchtower, where the spirits of the past refuse to fade. Would you dare look through the telescope, knowing something might be looking back? 22. Terrace Hill, the mansion of restless spirits. Majestic by day, Terrace Hill, Iowa's governor's mansion, takes on a far darker presence at night. Staff and visitors report ghostly footsteps echoing through empty hallways, doors creaking open on their own, and an eerie presence lurking on the grand staircase. Some have seen a shadowy figure standing at the top of the stairs, watching, waiting. Others claim to hear a child's laughter in the dead of night, though no children are there. Cold spots appear out of nowhere, chandeliers sway without reason, and an overwhelming sense of being watched follows those who dare to explore too long. Would you step inside, knowing the spirits of Terrace Hill may never let you leave? 23. Weaver House, the home that refuses to forget. In Des Moines, Weaver House looks like any other old home, but once you step inside, something watches from the shadows. Visitors report cold spots, flickering lights, and doors slamming shut on their own. Some wake in the night to find a shadowy figure standing in the doorway, silently staring. Others feel an unbearable weight on their chest, as if an unseen force is trying to crush the life out of them. The most chilling tale? A ghostly woman in white, seen pacing the upstairs hallway, her face twisted in anguish. Those who see her often report vivid nightmares for weeks, as if her sorrow follows them home. Would you dare stay the night, knowing something inside may be waiting for you to close your eyes? 24. Mary Frances Hall, the dorm that never sleeps. At Clark College in Dubuque, Mary Frances Hall is more than just a dorm. It's a place where the past refuses to rest. Students report phantom footsteps in empty hallways, doors unlocking by themselves, and whispers creeping through the vents. Some wake in the night to find a ghostly nun standing at the foot of their bed, her hollow eyes fixed on them before vanishing into the darkness. Others feel a cold, unseen hand brush against them, as if something is reaching out. The most terrifying legend, a presence that watches from the mirrors. If you stare too long, you might just see someone standing behind you. Would you dare sleep here, knowing you're never truly alone? 25. Fisher Building, where shadows never leave. In the heart of Dubuque, the Fisher Building stands tall, but those who enter often feel they're not alone. Employees and visitors report disembodied footsteps echoing through empty hallways, lights flickering without cause, and chilling whispers from unseen mouths. Some claim to see shadowy figures standing at the ends of corridors, vanishing the moment they're approached. Most disturbing of all, elevators that move on their own, stopping at floors no one called. Doors sliding open to reveal nothing, or worse, a dark figure waiting inside. Would you dare step inside, knowing something unseen is already there? 26. Grand Opera House, where the curtains never close. At Dubuque's Grand Opera House, the spirits never take their final bow. Actors and staff report phantom applause in an empty theater, footsteps pacing the stage with no one there, and eerie whispers drifting from the balconies. Some have seen a shadowy figure in Victorian clothing, silently watching rehearsals before vanishing into thin air. The most chilling legend, a ghostly woman in white, seen sitting in the audience until she suddenly disappears, leaving only an icy chill behind. Some say if you listen closely, you can still hear her humming a long-forgotten tune. Would you take a seat, knowing you might not be the only one in the audience? 27. Ham House, a mansion of unfinished business. Perched above Dubuque, Ham House may look grand, but its halls whisper with unseen presences that refuse to leave. Visitors report phantom footsteps on the grand staircase, chilling whispers in empty rooms, and sudden cold spots that freeze them in place. The spirit of matriarch Matthias Ham is said to linger, her shadowy figure seen peering from windows, watching those who dare trespass. Most terrifying? The attic, where some claim to hear scratching sounds from inside the walls, as if something is still trying to get out. Would you step inside, knowing some residents never moved on? 28. Saul House, where the past still breathes. In Dubuque, the Saul House holds more than history, it holds something unseen. Visitors report doors creaking open on their own, cold gusts rushing through sealed rooms, and ghostly whispers drifting through the air. Some have seen a shadowy figure lurking in the corners, vanishing the moment they look directly at it. Others wake in the night to the feeling of invisible hands pressing down on their chest, stealing their breath. Most disturbing, the sound of a child's laughter echoing through empty hallways. But when you follow it, there's no one there. Would you dare spend a night knowing something in Saul House is watching, waiting? 29. Forest Ridge, Cedar Hall, the School of Shadows. At Forest Ridge, Cedar Hall in Esterville, the past lingers in more ways than one. Students and staff report phantom footsteps echoing in empty hallways, doors locking on their own, and eerie whispers coming from the vents. Some have seen a shadowy figure watching from the windows, disappearing the moment they look back. Others feel an intense, unseen presence looming behind them, as if something is just out of sight. The most chilling legend? The sound of girls crying in the night, long after the halls should be silent. Would you walk these corridors alone, knowing something unseen might be following your every step? 30. Stagecoach House, where the journey never ends. Once a stop for weary travelers, Stagecoach House in Manchester now hosts spirits that never left. Guests report phantom footsteps pacing the upstairs rooms, doors rattling in the dead of night, and whispers drifting through the air when no one is there. Some have seen a shadowy figure in old-fashioned clothing standing near the doorway, watching. Others wake to find their blankets pulled off, as if unseen hands are reaching for them. Most unsettling, the faint sound of horses and wagon wheels echoing outside, on a road that no longer exists. Would you stay the night, knowing something from the past still lingers? Waiting? 31. Carlos O'Kelly's. A meal with the unseen. At Carlos O'Kelly's in Marion, diners come for the food, but some leave with chilling encounters they can't explain. Staff report plates sliding off tables, doors opening on their own, and eerie whispers coming from empty rooms. Some have seen a shadowy figure lurking near the kitchen, only for it to vanish when approached. Others feel an icy presence behind them, as if something unseen is watching their every move. The most disturbing legend. Late at night, the sound of laughter and clinking glasses fills the air, long after the restaurant has closed. Would you dare dine here, knowing you might not be eating alone? 32. Old Hershey Street Hospital, where the dying never left. Once a place of healing, Old Hershey Street Hospital in Muscatine now feels more like a place of unending suffering. Visitors report phantom footsteps echoing through abandoned hallways, hospital beds shifting on their own, and faint whispers calling their names. Some have seen shadowy figures in nurses' uniforms lingering in doorways before vanishing into thin air. Others feel cold, unseen hands brushing against their skin as if former patients are still reaching out. The most chilling tale? The sound of distant cries and labored breathing, long after the last patient was wheeled away. Would you dare walk these halls, knowing some souls never checked out? 33. North Central Correctional Facility, a prison of restless souls. At North Central Correctional Facility in Rockwell City, some prisoners never escaped, even in death. Guards and staff report phantom footsteps echoing through empty cell blocks, distant whispers of unseen inmates, and sudden drops in temperature that leave them frozen in fear. Some have seen shadowy figures pacing inside locked cells, as if still serving their time. Others hear the clanging of cell doors slamming shut when no one is there to close them. The most chilling legend. A ghostly prisoner seen staring through the bars, his hollow eyes filled with rage, before he vanishes into darkness. Would you dare step inside, knowing some inmates were never released? 34. Mossy Glen. The woods that watch. Deep in the wilderness of Mossy Glen, Strawberry Point, the trees seem to whisper secrets, and those who enter often feel they are not alone. Hikers report strange shadows darting between the trees, distant laughter echoing through the forest, and an overwhelming sense of being watched. Some have seen a ghostly woman in white wandering the trails, disappearing the moment they get too close. Others feel an icy breath on their neck, though no one is there. The most chilling legend: the sound of footsteps following visitors, matching their pace, only to stop when they turn around. Would you dare walk these haunted woods, knowing something unseen may be walking beside you? 35. Viga's Cemetery, the restless graveyard. At Viga's Cemetery in Lehigh, the dead refuse to rest. Visitors report phantom whispers drifting through the trees, strange lights flickering among the headstones, and the chilling feeling of unseen eyes watching. Some have seen shadowy figures standing near the oldest graves, only to vanish when approached. Others hear muffled cries on the wind, as if voices from the past are still trying to be heard. The most haunting legend: a ghostly woman in black seen kneeling by a grave before she fades into the night. Would you dare step among the tombstones, knowing the spirits here are far from silent? 36. Historic Klondike Hotel, where guests check in, but never leave. At the historic Klondike Hotel in Manila, the echoes of the past still linger. Guests report phantom footsteps pacing the hallways, doors creaking open on their own, and whispers seeping through the walls. Some have seen a shadowy figure standing at the foot of their bed, vanishing the moment they move. Others wake to the sensation of cold hands pressing against their chest, as if something unseen is holding them down. The most chilling legend: the sound of a child giggling in the dead of night. Though no children are staying at the hotel, would you dare spend the night, knowing some guests never checked out? 37. Decker House Hotel. A stay you may never forget. At Decker House Hotel in Maquoketa, something lingers beyond the walls of time. Guests report doors unlocking by themselves, shadowy figures drifting through hallways, and whispers creeping through the stillness of night. Some have seen a woman in old-fashioned clothing staring from the windows, vanishing when approached. Others wake to find their blankets pulled away and an icy breath on their neck. The most chilling tale: soft, ghostly piano music playing from an empty room, long after midnight. Would you dare spend the night, knowing something unseen may be watching as you sleep? 38. Dimmitt Hall, the dorm that never sleeps. At Dimmitt Hall, Morningside College in Sioux City, students whisper of ghostly presences that never graduated. Residents report phantom footsteps pacing the halls, doors slamming shut without cause, and eerie whispers floating through the air at night. Some have seen a shadowy figure standing at the ends of dimly lit corridors, watching, waiting. Others wake to find their belongings mysteriously rearranged, as if unseen hands had been there. The most chilling tale: the spirit of a former student, seen staring from the windows, her reflection lingering even when no one is there. Would you dare sleep here, knowing you might not be the only one in the room? 39. American Theater, where the show never ends. At the American Theater in Cherokee, the spirits never take their final bow. Visitors report phantom footsteps echoing through empty aisles, flickering lights with no explanation, and the eerie sensation of being watched from the balcony. Some have seen a shadowy figure lurking behind the curtain, disappearing when approached. Others hear whispers from unseen voices, as if actors from the past are still rehearsing. The most chilling legend: the sound of an unseen audience applauding, long after the seats have emptied. Would you dare step on stage, knowing the spirits may still be watching? 40. Union Pacific Railroad Museum, tickets to the other side. At the Union Pacific Railroad Museum in Council Bluffs, history isn't the only thing that lingers. Visitors report phantom footsteps echoing through exhibits, disembodied voices murmuring near old train artifacts, and the chilling sensation of someone standing behind them, only to turn and find no one there. Some have seen a shadowy conductor pacing the halls, as if still waiting for a train that never arrives. Others hear the distant sound of a steam engine and ghostly whistles piercing the silence. The most chilling legend: The spirit of a woman seen staring from an old passenger car, before fading into nothingness. Would you dare explore, knowing some travelers never reached their final destination? 41. Phi Kappa Chi, Brotherhood of the Unseen. At Phi Kappa Chi in Davenport, not all former members have moved on. Residents report phantom knocks on doors in the dead of night, whispers echoing through empty hallways, and chilling cold spots appearing without explanation. Some have seen a shadowy figure standing at the top of the stairs, watching silently before fading into darkness. Others wake to find furniture mysteriously rearranged, as if unseen hands had been at work. The most chilling legend, the sound of laughter and voices coming from the common room. When no one is there, would you dare stay the night, knowing some brothers never left? 42. Deaf School, the silence that speaks. At the abandoned deaf school in Council Bluffs, the halls may be quiet, but something unseen still lingers. Visitors report doors creaking open on their own, unseen hands tugging at their clothes, and eerie whispers that seem to come from nowhere. Some have seen shadowy figures moving through the hallways, as if former students and teachers still roam the building. Others describe a chilling presence standing behind them, even though they are completely alone. The most unsettling legend, the faint sound of children laughing, though the school has been empty for years. Would you dare step inside, knowing the silence may not be as empty as it seems? 43. Mars Hill Cemetery, the Church of Shadows. At Mars Hill Cemetery in Ottumwa, the dead don't rest, and neither does the fear. Visitors report unseen footsteps crunching through the grass, shadowy figures moving between headstones, and an eerie mist that rolls in without warning. Some have seen a ghostly woman in black near the church, vanishing the moment they get too close. Others hear whispers carried by the wind, as if voices from beyond are trying to speak. The most chilling legend, the sound of the church bell ringing, though no one is inside to ring it. Would you dare walk these graves, knowing something unseen may be walking with you? 44. Circle of Ash, where the horror is real. At Circle of Ash in Central City, the scares aren't just for show. Some say the haunt is real. Actors and visitors report disembodied whispers in dark corners, props moving on their own, and sudden cold spots that leave them breathless. Some have seen shadowy figures lurking beyond the staged horrors, watching from the darkness. Others feel an unseen presence brush against them, only to turn and find no one there. The most chilling legend, a ghostly laugh echoing through the halls, long after the attraction has closed. Would you dare enter, knowing not all the spirits here are actors? 45. Felland Old Property, a house of secrets and shadows. At the Felland Old Property near Eldora and Ackley, time may have moved on, but something within its walls has not. Visitors report doors creaking open by themselves, ghostly figures peering from windows, and whispers that seem to come from the very walls. Some have seen a shadowy presence lurking in the corners, vanishing the moment they step closer. Others feel an icy touch on their skin, as if unseen hands are reaching out. The most chilling legend, the sound of footsteps pacing upstairs, for though the house has been empty for years. Would you dare step inside, knowing some spirits refuse to leave? 46. The Vacant Lot, behind Naus Oil, a void of the unseen. At a seemingly empty lot in Emmetsburg, behind Naus Oil, there is an unsettling presence that refuses to be ignored. Locals report phantom footsteps crunching on gravel, eerie whispers floating through the night air, and sudden chills that make the skin crawl. Some have seen shadowy figures standing motionless in the darkness, only to disappear when approached. Others feel an overwhelming sense of dread, as if something unseen is watching, waiting. The most chilling legend, the sound of heavy breathing right behind you, though no one is there. Would you dare stand in this empty lot, knowing it may not be so empty after all? 47. Oak Hill Cemetery, where the dead still walk. At Oak Hill Cemetery in Esterville, the air is thick with more than just history. It carries whispers of the past. Visitors report cold spots appearing out of nowhere, shadowy figures drifting between tombstones, and the eerie sensation of unseen eyes watching. Some have seen a spectral woman in white, weeping at a grave, only to vanish into thin air. Others hear disembodied voices murmuring in the wind, as if the departed are still trying to speak. The most chilling legend, the sound of footsteps following visitors, though no one is behind them. Would you dare walk these paths, knowing the dead may not be resting after all? 48. Stagecoach House, echoes of the past that never faded. At the Stagecoach House in Manchester, the spirits of weary travellers seem to linger long after their final journey. Visitors report phantom footsteps echoing through the halls, doors swinging open on their own, and the faint scent of pipe smoke drifting through empty rooms. Some have seen a shadowy figure near the entrance, as if waiting for a carriage that will never arrive. Others hear disembodied voices in hushed conversation, as though long-gone guests are still checking in. The most chilling legend, the sound of horses and wagon wheels creaking outside, though the road has been silent for years. Would you dare step inside, knowing some travellers never truly departed? 49. The Old House in Milton, a home trapped in time. At an abandoned old house in Milton, time has stopped, but something inside still stirs. Locals report windows rattling with no wind, whispers drifting through empty rooms, and eerie shadows moving past the doorways. Some have seen a ghostly figure standing in the upstairs window, staring out as if waiting for someone to return. Others feel an overwhelming sense of dread, as if unseen eyes are watching from the dark. The most chilling legend, the sound of a rocking chair creaking late at night, though the house has been empty for years. Would you dare step inside, knowing something within may still be waiting? 50. Old Hershey Street Hospital, where the suffering never ended. At Old Hershey Street Hospital in Muscatine, the cries of the past still echo through its crumbling halls. Visitors report phantom footsteps pacing the corridors, faint whispers of unseen patients, and icy chills creeping through the air. Some have seen shadowy figures lingering near old hospital beds, as if trapped between life and death. Others hear the distant sound of a gurney rolling across the floor, though the building has been abandoned for years. The most chilling legend? A ghostly nurse, seen standing in the hallway, vanishing the moment you blink. Would you dare step inside, knowing some patients never left? If Iowa made your skin crawl, Kansas will haunt your nightmares. Forgotten towns, phantom-infested hotels, and roads where people vanish without a trace. The next journey into darkness is waiting. But are you brave enough to take it? Subscribe now, hit the bell, and prepare, because Kansas's 50 most haunted places are more terrifying than you can imagine. Once you start watching, there's no escaping the fear.